unplugged. Hold on. Hey, everybody. Welcome to QuestionPro Office Hours. My camera seems to have stopped working, so I am going to plug it back in here in a second. Give me...
We seem to have lost Crystal altogether.
Oh, I'm here.
And I see her come back,
I'm
and there
here
she is.
now. Woo! Hey guys, welcome to QuestionPro Office Hours. Sorry about those technical difficulties, but you know that's what happens when we go live. Thanks, Kartik, for jumping in there. We are so glad that you're here joining us from wherever you are in the world. We want to say welcome, joining us across Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I'm Crystal Weiss. I'm the Director of Marketing here at QuestionPro, and I am joined by Kartik Bhatt, our Director of Sales. Welcome, Kartik.
Hey, Crystal. Super excited to be on this one today.
I'm excited you're here. It's been a while since you've been here.
Yep, I think it's 3 months. I think 2 or 3 months, something like that.
That's a long time for us. Usually, I'm used to at least to checking in with you every other month.
Yep.
uh,
I think,
and
I
for
think
those
Dan jumped in on one, right? So that took me, I guess, 3 months ahead.
uh, and if you're joining us, let us know where you're from in the comment section. I'm currently based out of Austin, Texas. And Kartik, where are you at in the world right now?
I'm right now in Nasik. That's a city very close to Mumbai in India. So any
Okay.
of you know India, you should be knowing Mumbai. So it's like 3 hours from that.
I gotcha.
I'm
So
I'm
you're at
actually
your
in
home, the
countryside
best,
right now. I was like chilling and I'd forgotten about this episode. But then I just found my laptop. Luckily, I got it with me, so I'm all set now. Luckily.
There are some, advantages of working from anywhere, but also some disadvantages, like when you're on vacation and you forget you have to do office hours.
Yep. I know back in the time when I used to actually come to office and work, I would not even take my laptops when I was like going for holiday or something. But now with work from anywhere, like laptop has just become a part of me, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I had it unfortunately.
Oh, hey from London. Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us. And if you guys didn't know, QuestionPro has 4 different products that we try to typically on office hours talk about our, commercial and free licenses, because we believe that everyone should have access to free survey software that they can collect data and insights from. But if you need more than our free license, we have a plethora of other choices depending on your needs, from employee experience to customer experience to really those in-depth insights as far as like price modeling and really extended studies are concerned with our research suite platform, and then kind of our your basic, but as you move up in tiers, advanced and team edition survey software as far as like analytics and advanced question types that you might need. And so, wow, you can tell I haven't done this in a while. I just said like 4 times. So, if you need something from QuestionPro, we are your full service insights platform, depending on what you might need. And we have some great case studies. And if you watch QuestionPro Office Hours last month, we did, like, I kid you not, Kartik, like an hour and a half on CX.
Wow.
There was a point where I actually sat
That both
down.
excites me and scares me at the same time.
It was like I literally sat down halfway through. Usually I'm standing and I'm like this, and finally I was like, I have to sit down. So if you guys are ever looking for a really unique use case, or you think, hey, does QuestionPro have what I need for the job that needs to be done in your case, look back at some of our old office hours. We probably answer it in there, and they're a hoot because you get fun guests like Kartik or Adrian or Shabani. We're Christine Welcher was on. We're always having really great QuestionPro subject matter experts in here, because I am not the survey subject matter expert. I am simply the host of all the great minds. But today we're going to deep dive into extraction logic and kind of using how you use extraction logic across our platforms and in the use cases that you might need. Kartik, give us the 101 on extraction logic.
Yep. So I think, I mean, different, I would say the different people might know this by different names, but in general,
Ooh.
extraction is like you typically have one source question, right? And based on what you answer to the source question, your entire survey kind of takes that path, right? So basically, whatever you select or whatever you don't select, kind of is extracted or is carry forwarded into the survey, right? So to give everyone an example, like, let's say which of the brands of vehicles do you drive, right? The BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Ford, all the different brands. And then based on what we select, then we can have some follow-up questions. Okay, from these brands that you do have used in the past, how would you rate them? Which is your most preferred one, and so on, right? So that's typically kind of the key use case of extraction. But then there are different ways we could use it, which we'll obviously go through. But this is kind
Mm-hmm.
of the fundamental crux of it.
If you're a let's say a market research novice, on a
Mm-hmm.
scale of 1 to 10, how hard is doing extraction logic?
One being the hardest or one being the
Oh,
easiest?
10 being the hardest.
Okay, 10 being the hardest, then I would say abstraction is probably somewhere at six, five,
Okay.
six. That.
So you need to have some market research and like question structuring background. You can't just like be like, I'm going to do extraction logic.
Correct. I would say it's like in the slightly harder one, right? The simple one is
Mhm.
just jump logic. Okay, if you select this, you jump here. Everyone does
Oh,
that.
okay.
I would say that's the easiest. That would be the left anchor, the one. And extraction would come somewhere in the middle, where it's still easy, but you still need to kind of understand the source question, understand like, okay, if you extracted five questions from one question, then changing something in the first question has an impact on all the five, right? Almost like a butterfly.
Mm,
That's why it gets a bit complicated. You need to be a bit mindful when you're using it.
I gotcha. So for everybody out there, it is accessible to anyone of any level of market researchers of any level, but be mindful before you jump in. And the reason, so if you had joined us a couple years ago in the 2020 era where we were all trapped online, we actually, Dan Fleetwood and I actually did like an hour long webinar about extraction logic. But recently, we've gone through an update. And for anybody who has used the QuestionPro platform for a long time, knows that there are monthly updates that are always augmenting and making the platform better for our users. And so we have taken extraction logic to the next level with some new updates. And Kartik, you want to walk us through those?
Yep, I think, and this is like a true update, right? I wouldn't even call it an enhancement because we've pretty much revamped everything from the look and feel of it, to the way you use it, to how it
Ooh.
functions. And we also added something called locked extraction, which I'll be showing into the demo as well. But essentially, what that does is once you lock kind of your source question, then anytime you want to make changes, if you make it to a source question, and let's say that
Mm-hmm.
10 expected question, all the 10 questions automatically change, right? Earlier, you had to go make the change in the source question, then remember to make it the same change on all the other 10 questions, which used to take a lot of time. The second one is like we would support only like extract everything that's selected, but now we've added a lot of operators there. Like one is what we call reverse extraction, where you could say okay, extract everything that's not selected. Then we have added something known as exclude from extraction, so something like a other or a not applicable, something like that. You never
Mm.
want to extract that, so kind of that function has been added. So some kind of nice new operators have been added on that front.
So if you
Another,
were going, oh, sorry.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah,
going to,
and one last thing, and one major limitation we had probably a couple of years back is you could do any one type of extraction. You could do just one extraction from the question, and then it would start. I mean, from the second question onward, there would be a lot of kind of clunkiness to it. We fixed that as well, wherein you could have n number of questions that are extracted from the source question. So I would say these are like the major ones.
I love that. And so for the non-applicable or the other, it would be when you would have like Porsche, Ford, Volkswagen, BMW, other. And instead of with extraction, you could do a follow-up question to each of those, but with the other, you could like not extract and move them on to something else.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Or
Sorry.
even like, or even let's say like you might be one of the unique ones who've never used a car at all, right? So in that case, even none of the above also might take them somewhere else altogether and never should get extracted. So in the same use case, you could also have maybe none of the above.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And then, oh, wait. Oh, there's
Yep.
two slides. I was like, did the content change? There's
No,
even more.
I went through all. I went through these.
Oh, you went through all of these. You can tell I was super listening. I love you, Cart.
So never extract
Uh,
the extract. I spoke to that. Multiple extraction. I spoke to that. A log extraction with a matrix. Actually, this is a good one. Earlier, like we could always extract from a matrix. Like everyone who's used QuestionPro knows that. But what would happen is, if you've extracted from a matrix and then you go and add a couple of row choices to that matrix, then it would mess up the entire thing. So you have to actually delete all the extracted questions and do the whole thing again. So we've kind of fixed that, and we've also made like the ability to like view what the extraction is, right? So earlier, once it was
mm.
extracted, it would work like magic. You wouldn't know what are the instructions given, right? It would just work. And now you can actually go click there and see exactly what the instructions are and why is it actually working the way it is. So those are a couple of ones I think I missed.
Ooh, that's very cool. And then these are the types of questions that extraction logic is supported on. Now, is there a question where people might think it's supported on that it's not? Or what is your best, like, which question type should you use extraction on the best or the
I
most?
think we've made it fairly kind of foolproof on that end. So basically, if extraction is not supported on any question, like you'll just not see the option there, right?
Mm.
So anytime you add the question in the logic panel, if you don't see extraction, that means it's not supported, right? And it's typically only not supported for the really advanced questions like card sorting or a conjoint analysis or a makeshift analysis, on which obviously it's super hard to run any extraction per se. But any of the standard questions that you can imagine, it is supported on that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, the next slides I think are just like diving into what it looks like, and which, while we love slides and they are great to talk against, the best thing about QuestionPro office hours is that you get to see it in action. So, Kartik, you want to jump in and show us how to do some extraction logic?
Let's do that. So I think what I'm going to do is like we have some questions that have already come through.
Ooh, great.
So I think
You're
first
so
we
good
can
about remembering the questions.
first we can pretty much go through those, which pretty much covers a lot of the use cases. And then
Awesome.
obviously anything that I'm missing or anything exciting that is missed, then I'll go through that at the end.
Love it. Let's do it.
Perfect. So let me share my screen and Crystal, if you can read out the questions, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
So while using, so the first one, and this is like a good one to get started with. Let me drop your screen in here. While using extraction logic, sometimes the answer options in my source question change. Can I program the survey to reflect these changes in the extracted questions?
Perfect. That's a fantastic question, and that's the one we've just recently enhanced, right? So like maybe
Ooh.
a year back, the answer was no, but right now, yes, you can make n number of changes and then all start reflecting in all your extracted questions. So let's see a quick example. So let's say let's try to select many which of the following cars.
The following cars have you driven? You love cars. That's always your example.
Let's say Ford, W, uh, Toyota, Honda,
I have a
uh,
Jeep.
one, Jeep, and let's take another, and
Cool.
let's how as rare as it may be, maybe still possible. So let's do that.
That's true. There are people who don't. I didn't own a car for 6 years.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
perfect. So let's say this is a question, and now to extract. So now let's say based on whatever I select, I want to have a couple of follow-up questions. So let's say from the brand of cars that you've driven, which do you feel was the best? And then let's say there's another follow-up question is from the brand of cars that you've not driven, which one would you like to really drive next? So let's say these are like a couple of
Oh.
you want to do, right? So it's super easy. So let's do it. So let's go into logic and let's go into extraction.
Extraction?
So first, what we're going to do is extract what is not selected. So all the brands that are not selected, and let's say I want to you extract it, and here you'll see the different question types you can extract into. So I want it into a single select, uh, and here I want never extract,
Oh.
other, and na. So these two
Mm-hmm.
should never be extracted, and I want to lock this extraction, right? So what a locked extraction pretty much does is this will now disable the ability to make any changes to the extracted question. So if you do want to make changes, you have to make it to the source question, and all the changes you make to the source question will automatically get updated to all the follow-up questions.
Ah, okay.
So let me save this.
And so you could even extract it from one question type to a different question type. Doesn't have to be
Correct.
the same. That's
Correct.
cool.
Yep, that's what I'm going to do next. So this is the reverse extraction. So let's add the question text. So which of the following brand do okay, so something like this. And now let's do an selected extraction. So I can go back into extraction.
Mm-hmm.
This now selected choices. And now instead of a single select, let's do a rank order. So let's do drag and drop
Yeah.
and never extract again other and NA and locked extraction. And let's go ahead and save it. So again, this has been added, and here I could
Ooh.
rank the following brands in the order of your preference. Instead of rank, let's do drag and drop actually.
Ah, I see. So then
Perfect.
you're describing how to do the question in the question,
Correct. So now there are pretty much two sets of rules, right? One is it's going to ask me to rank all the brands of cars I've driven, and then
right?
it's going to ask me from all the brands that I've not driven, what would I like to drive next, right? Uh, two extractions from the same
Oh,
question or from one
yeah.
question. And then you can keep going more and more. And you can also do extractions from extractions and so on. But I'm not going to get into the inception kind of stuff. I'm going to keep it simple for this one. But yeah, if anyone has something complicated like that, feel free to hit me, and I can certainly help you with that.
You actually answered the next question already. Which then can we apply extraction logic multiple times on the same question?
Yep. So like I just
Yeah.
did, so there's not only can you apply it multiple times, you can also apply different types of extraction each time.
That's very cool. And then you can show us kind of what it looks like here.
Yep. So let's say which have I driven? So I've driven a Ford, I've driven a Volkswagen, and I've driven a Jeep. I've not driven the rest. So now from these three, like what do I
Ford
like the
should be at the
most?
bottom.
Since you have a Jeep, I'm going to keep that first, and
I
maybe
had a
something.
Ford one time and I'll never have a Ford again.
And
Just some personal. Oh,
here
so
you'll see what
then
you like to drive next. So I would
and then
like
it
to
took
probably
out the
drive.
Ford
Yeah.
because it was at the bottom. Oh,
No,
no,
so
because these weren't
because
ones
I've
you've
selected that,
driven.
right? So these are the brands I've driven. So
Right.
then this won't be asked. So now what is asking me is which would you like to drive next? So these are the ones I've never driven.
Ah, I see. I really want a Toyota 4Runner because the back of a Toyota 4Runner on the very back door, the window rolls down. And it's just like it's such a nice like vibe.
Nice.
But they're kind of expensive to just like have one window option. I don't have kids or a dog or anything. I just want the window op- That's awesome though. And so then it can kind of take you through your customers through everything that you're like looking for. But what we talk a lot about on office hours is making sure that you think through all this logic before you start programming it. Because this is, I feel like extraction is one of those things that could like very easily get away from you.
I think that was the case earlier, because what would happen earlier is, like, I've done this. So now let's say I forgot one brand, right? I forgot, let's say, Kia Motors. I forgot Hyundai in this, right? So
Mm-hmm.
earlier, what would happen actually is that you have to delete these two questions and then go and add the option and do the extraction again, right? So it was very important to actually think through the survey, because extraction could very easily get away from you. But we
Oh,
kind of fixed that. So now if I actually add an option, and I could
because
probably
you put locked extraction, so now it will update everything.
correct. So let's say I've done Hyundai here. So now you'll see Hyundai has actually got added here as well,
Oh,
and here as well.
I love that. That's fun. But you have to make sure you add locked extraction.
Correct. So
Yep.
when you're extracting it, you have to be sure to have locked the extraction.
Okay. That's awesome.
And now you'll see, like, I cannot even make changes here, right? So if I try to make a change here, it's going to tell me
Oh, so it takes you back up to the top.
correct. But I can
That's
modify the extraction, so I can click here and see what is the extraction. But I cannot make any changes per se.
Mm, I got you. And so then this takes us to our next question. Do
Mhm.
other and not applicable options get extracted? If
By default, they would get extracted, but if you see here, if you go into the extraction,
hmm
I've set up a rule to never extract it, right? So there's never
yeah,
extract, and here the last two options, right, which option 7 and other by default would not get extracted. So that's already been taken care of.
awesome. Okay, man, we're and this is great. These are good questions. Is it available for our essential users?
No, it is not actually.
Yeah.
Extraction and locked extraction kind of begins with a paid license.
Right. Which, you know what? Our paid licenses only start at $99 a month, and you get not only things like extraction logic, but you also get the reporting, which takes us to our next question. How do you view extraction logic when it comes to reports?
So in reports, I mean, extraction logic is like any other logic, right? It's a simple kind of workflow that's happened in your survey. So in your reports, it's just going to be like, okay, based on what you answer here, you'll see, okay, these were answered. Then in this, you'll see, okay, these whatever was how it was ranked, whatever was not ranked, that means it wasn't extracted. So it's like any other logic in terms of reporting, right? Because you don't need to really see the flow, which
Mm.
is very tricky to kind of analyze. You will just pretty much work on the data, which will flow in obviously whatever the answer in the source question.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. And to get to your report section, you just go up to analytics and that will show you all the different reports you have and you can kind of, really export them in various different formats. They can be branded exports like PDFs and Google Slides. You can run the cool thing that I think that's one of the tips and tricks that people don't notice that Kartik just did was he actually ran test responses to
Yep. You'll see the
and
11 responses
yeah,
already here.
that is an ultimate question pro secret, like I don't know, best kept secret, but it's like in everyone's platform. So you can test your survey data or your survey questions and how the data is going to come out with test results just right inside the platform. Um, that's what I'm gonna add that to my like best kept secrets. The other one is the URL, the survey URL that
Hmm.
you can always distribute and doesn't change if you change your survey. I love that.
Yep. The survey
Uh,
router.
and so, really make sure that you're using all of the little tips and tricks inside of the Question Pro platform that you may be like, oh, I don't know what this is, but like just click on it, just see what it does. Trust me, it's gonna be great. See where he went up to tools and he went to test responses, and that's how search and replace. Man, I'm like discovering things right now too. So if you spelled something wrong, or if you're changing your survey for a different brand, I would say that probably works well too. Ooh, no violations found. Did you just run a audit?
Yep. So you can basically validate if any branching has like a an infinite kind of location or a loop or something like that. So I just did that to be sure that my survey logic is working fine.
I don't know if I've ever clicked on that tools button up there on the right.
That's the best button. Let me show.
That's that
All
might
the
be on
functions
me.
right here.
That's funny. So guys, make sure you're using that tools button up there on the right hand side. That comes with all of our license types, I'm assuming, and make sure
Yep.
that you're just using every little tip and trick that we have, and then using extraction logic to do let's think of some use cases here. Customer feedback surveys, retail store experience, course evaluation, brand preference, as we're seeing here. If you're, working for either a market research firm or if you're working for a company that has multiple brands, I bet you we could definitely do a study with our own customers about which product they like better.
Yeah, and I mean extraction. I mean the use cases are infinite, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
almost any survey, like it could be even healthcare, right? You could say, okay, which of the following body parts have you faced issues with, and then you could have an array of questions based on what you select or don't select there, right? So I think the use cases of extraction, once you kind of understand fundamentally how it works and how powerful it is, it just makes a programming super super kind of quick. Firstly, and
Right.
also makes it future proof when if you want to add some stuff to the survey, you don't need to recreate the whole thing because of a lot of
Mm,
extraction. So I think those are the two key advantages of using extraction as much as possible.
I love that. And it really shows that you can do a deep dive analysis without having to, I don't know, not hire a research firm, but DIY market research, but really just market researchers programming their own surveys. Is like you guys can really own your survey experience. But to Kartik's point, that learning curve, it's like it feels like one of those things. Once you know, but if you don't, you don't.
Right. Yep.
um that which I mean, there's some good things, but then it can be that's sometimes frustrating. And it can help you reduce effort from the survey creator. It improves the respondent experience. It creates lesser time maybe to complete the survey, and hopefully leads to a higher completion rate, which I know everyone is always keen to uh get those numbers higher. And so our last question is, are the recent enhancements available to advanced users, or are they only for research edition or higher?
No, extraction is any paid, so even advanced will get all of this.
That's awesome. Well, do you have any final tips and tricks you want to share with us?
I think a few things I would like to share. One
Yeah.
is obviously the matrix extraction. So
Ooh, let's do it.
yes, into a matrix because I think this is used quite often. So again, let's go back to extraction
Yeah.
and here so far we've done selected choices, not selected choices, but you also see the displayed choices, not displayed choices, or simply all choices, right? So different
Mm,
extraction tools you could do, but let's do selected, and this time let's do a matrix single select, and I don't want to extract other, and this one, lock it and save. So now you see the matrix has come up here, and I could do okay. Please rate the following bands, and again I could put in, let's say, bad or whatever it is. Now we'll see we've been able to extract to a matrix question, which obviously we could always do. But now the challenge used to be that okay, now I want to extract a matrix into something else, right? So let's say anyone who selects bad for any of the
right.
bands, I want to know like what went wrong, right? I could go into logic and again go into extraction, and here I'm going to do selected rows
Okay.
to,
Oh
and
man,
let's
you're
say
starting to lose me on all these little boxes. You can tell I'm a visual person because I'm just like, oh man, what's happening here?
so let's say we want a text box and we want it based on either one or two.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want to lock the extraction. So now you will see like, okay, and now we could tell us, and now you will see that if I go back here, and if I say, let's say Ford, Volkswagen, Toyota, and if I say, okay, I had a bad experience with Ford,
Ooh,
this
yes,
was
you did.
good. So here you'll see I've got just the open-ended question for Ford, where I can now go in and put some data. And now, one thing that was not possible is, let's say like I had to add a row choice, another row choice, and let's just say it's Kia Motors.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, it would work for all other questions except a matrix, because what would happen is the system would not know like what needs to happen, right? So you'll see now Kia
Oh.
come up here. So all we need to do here is going to modify extraction, and here you'll see for we just need to enable this option. That's it, and we can go
Ah.
save it. So now it's going to work just fine, even if it's extracted from a matrix and you add some options, which used to be a limitation a couple of months back, which has now been fixed.
Woo! I love that. And, that's another great example of users giving us feedback and then us taking it into the product and changing it. So if you ever
I
like,
think the
man, I wish.
entire extraction 2.0 was really fueled by our own customers. Mainly, I think Energizer and Epic Games mostly. Like
Mm-hmm.
they had surveys because of, I mean, not having this function. Like 1 year back, they had a survey. Like they used to launch it every month. Especially, I think Epic Games, they should do a survey every month, and which used to take them almost 3 to 4 hours to kind of program, test, and launch. And now, due to all these enhancements, they've been able to get that down to about 1 hour, 1 hour 10 minutes, where they pretty much build it, test it, and launch it. So
That's
they're able to
crazy.
like save immense amount of time, and similar data with Energizer as well. Although like their programming time was not that high to begin with, but a lot of time saved, especially like when you have to test it, send it internally, make some changes. So if you don't have locked extraction, if you don't have these enhancements, it's just it sometimes it just gets away from you because some of these logics start getting interlinked to each other. So I think we've solved most of the fundamental problems on that front.
That's amazing. And just such a great testament to how we listen to our customers and really can take and apply their pain points to the product. Like we're not out here just like building things because we think it's cool. It's because our customers need them, which is not every software company.
You bet.
Oh man, that's awesome. So, any other tips and tricks, Kartik?
I think that's all on extraction. Realistically, I mean, we could get a lot, much more into depth, like extraction within extraction and stuff like that. But I
Ooh,
like that
extraction
just
on
makes it
extraction
too
on extraction.
complicated, realistically. So I think at this point, I think this gives a good kind of overview of kind of what we can do with it and how to use it, and how to use locked extraction, some of the advantages.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe everyone can obviously play around with it based on their context, based on their use case. And then we are an email away, phone call away, obviously, if you need any
Yeah.
assistance whatsoever.
If you need help, always don't reach out to Kartik this week because he's on vacation. But you can hit up our live chat on our website. Those guys are always online, willing to help, and or reach out to your account executive because they are also, these new enhancements. If you don't have a quarterly update scheduled with your customer support team, really get that on the books because I know that helps not only us hear the feedback of what you guys need, but also keeps you up to date on the new products that are coming, new product updates and enhancements, and in this case, an entire revamp of a question type. Kartik, thank you so much for joining us. And y'all, we are going to be here next month, September 26th. But I don't know what the theme is going to be yet because we've covered workforce, we've covered CX, we've done, this deep dive into extraction logic. So next month,
We should do live polls, Crystal. That would be really fun.
ooh, I do love me some live polls. You know what? Actually, haha. Thanks, Kartik. You made me think of it. Next month, we are going to do our free tools, because we have live, not
Nice.
only do we have essentials, we have live polls, we have regular polls, and we have a couple other things that are totally free for users of the QuestionPro platform. And live polls is a hoot, y'all. A hoot.
Yep. I love live polls. I'm just kind of waiting for.
You volunteer?
I would love to. I absolutely love it. But I think live polls is all about fun and engagement. So I'm probably the wrong guy for it. I'm the guy with complex
Kartik,
stuff with distraction.
Kartik, I'm sure you're fun.
So I would say pick somebody better than me. I guess for that one, that's a very very fun tool. I would be the wrong person to showcase it for sure.
Maybe I'll get like multiple people and we can
Yeah.
do a little like office hours. I don't know, like office hours
Yeah,
round
live polls
table.
is so fun, man. You can come up with different kind of trivia questions. It's very engaging. It's really fun to just engage with your audience on another level. It's one of my favorite tools, frankly.
And if you're going to be joining us in Austin, Texas on October 27th for Question Pro X Day IRL, we will be doing live polls live in person.
Wow.
And dude, I'm so excited. Like, I can't even tell you. I'm excited for X Day, but I'm more excited to do live polls with a real live audience, not people in the digital world. So, thank you so much for joining us, Kartik, for QuestionPro Office Hours, talking all about extraction logic and how you can use these new enhancements. Join us next month on September 26th for QuestionPro, everything free. And if you are curious, please check us out and join us in Austin, Texas on October 27th for QuestionPro X Day. Have an awesome week on vacation, Kartik.
Thanks, Crystal.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.